at the next quiz coming up and the verses that you'll need to know. What's cool about both of these verses is that they involve lists that are very easy to memorize. And so the first one is Galatians 5:22 to 23. If you spend any time in youth group, you're going to hear this verse and the other verse quite frequently. And this verse refers to the fruits of the Spirit. It says this, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law. And a real easy way to remember this, I put a device down at the bottom there of just taking the beginning letters of each word. It's LJP, PKG, FGS. So it's love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Then the other verse, once again, if you stay in youth group, you'll see this verse on just about everything, whether it's T-shirts, the newsletter, the calendar. We put this on just about everything, and it's 1 Timothy 4:12. It says, don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in life, in love, in faith, and in purity. And if you remember the letters SLLFP, that'll help you out in remembering this verse. So let's review. Where have we been? Where are we going? We've covered our history. We're just finishing up our beliefs and talking about the end times. We've talked about United Methodism on our weekend. And in the last few classes that we have towards the end, we'll be talking about our response and decision to confirmation. Here's the Apostles' Creed. We've covered all the lines through it, with the exception of the very last two, and that's what we're going to cover today. The resurrection of the body and the life everlasting. Amen. That'll be our theme and our topic. So here we have some slides. These are some of the things that the people have created when thinking about the end times. And this was a really popular view growing up in the 20th century. And actually, it's a very new view of the end times. If you've read the books Left Behind, it follows kind of this pattern of interpreting the book of Revelation. But in this chart, you see that there's the church age, and then the arrow pointing up, referring to the rapture, and then the seven seals and bowls and trumpets, and the millennium and eternity. And this is a way of looking at the book of Revelation and taking it very literally and trying to interpret it into our our newspaper. And people have been doing this for a while now, always trying to predict the times, when it's going to happen, who the Antichrist is. And if you just do a basic search, you'll realize there have been so many times that people have tried to guess, and that's not where we're supposed to be. That's not where we're supposed to put our efforts in trying to figure this all out. And we'll get into that. I know for me, growing up, there was a book that came out in 1988, and it was called The 88 Reasons Why Jesus Will Return in September of 1988. And it was an interesting book that the person I was working for actually took it very seriously and was always talking to me about it. And I would get frustrated because at that stage of life, even though I believed in Jesus, I just wasn't ready for him to return because I had a lot of life that I wanted to experience before that happened. And so anyhow, September of 1988 came and went, and so that provided me some fodder to go back to my boss and kind of tease him a little bit. But then this guy that came out with that book realized he was off in his equation by just 1 year. So then he came out with a new book called The 89 Reasons Why Jesus Will Return in 1989. And of course, you know the end of that story. Didn't happen. There's a lot of hysteria revolving around Y2K, the turn of the century. A lot of people got hyped up thinking that was going to be the time that Jesus would return, and it simply didn't happen. And so there's all kinds of people always making predictions, always trying to make prophecies, and trying to interpret Revelation into our day and age, and it's just not a good place to go. because we've seen just the failure of that happening over and over again throughout the ages. And here's some images that we have when we think of angels, and then some that we have when we think of hell or demons. Here's another one of just a concept of that someone drew of heaven and the stairway to heaven. Every time Halloween comes along, here we are with the concept of the devil with horns and a pitchfork and the classic goatee. Depending on other movies, you get this image of the Grim Reaper, this kind of demonic image, dark image, with a sickle in his hand going after people's souls. And then this is another picture I found kind of interesting. A staircase going up into bright sunlight, and a staircase going down into darkness and what appears to be just the glare of fire. So the question is, why do we seem to be so fascinated with apocalyptic end times themes? I mean, look at this. It's just within our culture. Just recently, a movie came out, 2012. A lot of you've probably seen this. But it's, once again, it's a movie that's based on just all kinds of apocalyptic images of disaster, and really it's coming off of different views and theories that just are kind of nuts. But it's a movie that just dwells on all this fear and dread of the end coming. Some of you may have seen this animation movie, 9, which deals with a lot of apocalyptic images and imagery. The Book of Eli was another movie recently that deals with the end times. Knowing, some of you may have seen that. In this movie, very interesting but very twisted ending, and just trying to develop, taking a few truths from the Bible but making up a whole new kind of ending and plot to the end of the world. Very strange. And then we got Legion, where apparently here's a movie where God is sick and tired of the human race and is going to come and wipe them all out, but Michael the Archangel breaks away to try and come down to earth as apparently a fallen angel wanting to protect the human race from God's wrath. Didn't do too well in the theater. And then you've got The Road, which is another apocalyptic movie. Left Behind, which is a popular movie, especially within Christian circles, based off of some books that two guys wrote, actually taking full advantage of all the fear that was circulated with the Y2K deal. These guys profited big time off of that, of taking the concept of Revelation and writing a story into that, trying to make it a current relevant story. And they made a lot off of it, off of the fear of the Christian community. Another movie, Drag Me to Hell, had a lot of images of the demonic, of what hell looks like. Another movie that's very popular from the time it was made up until now is The Exorcist. And then also Zombieland, which many of you may have seen. A lot of zombie movies lately. The whole world kind of fallen into chaos and